Now, we're going to talk about how to logically organize your ideas into a manuscript so as to showcase your best work to the world. Now, you have done your research over the years even, and I'm sure you have lots of results and you're really excited to share them. But in the midst of doing so, we also have to think about how to craft a really compelling and appealing story. So, presenting your ideas is more than just listing them down or throwing everything in there and letting the reviewers pick out what's important. It's your role to guide them along so that they will follow what exactly you're trying to do, what you have found, and essentially how did you contribute to the field. So this makes up the story of your research journey that goes into the manuscript. Now, your findings essentially form the basis of your manuscript. So that's the thing, you need to organize your findings. And always think about this, logic first, followed by language. Okay, regardless of what language you're writing in, usually it will be English, but first let's tackle the logical flow. So the easiest way to do this is to basically draw up some draft figures of your results. For example, result 1, you make figure 1, result 2, figure 2, or table 2, and so on. So then you will logically organize the figures and the tables. So there are a few ways to do this. What do we mean by a logical flow? It could be in chronological order. That means, either from the oldest to the newest, or when you first began to when it end. Or usually from the most important finding to the least important finding. All right? And if you have separate groups within your study, you will go from general, which is the entire sample, and go down to each of the specific groups. And this will apply to different disciplines as well. You basically go from whole, and then you describe in parts what are the findings for each of those parts. So once you have organized your findings, whether it's in the form of figures and tables or draft writing in paragraphs, then you can look at it. Is there anything missing? Perhaps I need to do additional experiments or analysis, and it will be worthwhile at this stage to show it to someone, to your colleagues, to your peers, and to your supervisor. So he or she may be able to advise you on whether the flow is logical, is easy to follow, is compelling, if it makes sense at all, or it's going all over the place. Now that's the last thing that you actually want to do, because we tend to get carried away when we have a lot of findings and we just want to include everything. But sometimes, and most of the time actually, less is more. Even though, say for example, you've got 10 results, you do not have to present all your results. And this is different from withholding results, because withholding results would usually refer to hiding or not revealing certain parts of your results so that the people don't know your full story. But in this case, no. If the results are not essential, you don't need to include them. Also, if you're not going to discuss about the results in the discussion sections, then those results can be left out. So therefore, very important rule here is to only include the important results that you would discuss and that would give meaning to your study. And essentially, back to the question, why did you do your study? Where you have answered in the introduction, always refer back to that question, because if the findings do not fill the gap that you actually set out to fill, then that result is not important. So this is a little trick to gauge what you would consider an important result or not. So yes, in this case, what I want to emphasize is the fact, yes, you may have a lot of results, you may have a lot of findings that you're eager to show to the world, but pick the good ones that you want to showcase. Because as I said before, the manuscript is a showcase, it's a presentation of your best work forward, and not all of your work.